it's clear. Finally, it's clear. After so many years in this CA thing, and you finally know. You know your why. You will become an audit partner. A year passes, and now you dread the idea of being an audit partner. The risk of signing those apps and being held to task, headlined in the next big business scandal, yeah, not for you. But now it's clear. Now you really know you will be a CEO of a listed company. But then you think about the pressure coming from every angle. And not just the pressure, the politics. Ugh. Not for you either. What is for you? What is your why? Will you ever figure it out? Today we are joined by Yusuf Bodiat, CASA, Finance Executive, IODSA Certified Director, SAICA Top35under35 finalist for 2021, and author of The Bottom Line, a blueprint for South Africa's turnaround. We chat about how your goals will inevitably shift and change over the course of your career as a CA. We also chat about the real power of a CA designation in the job market, repeating his 3rd and 4th years in accounting, how he transitioned out of audit through networking at his client, CSI programs he worked on at a large corporate investment company, how he ended up becoming a certified non-executive director, why a book is the ultimate business card, and of course, more. I hope you enjoy. My travelers on the road to CASA. What if South Africa was a company, and instead of being citizens, we were shareholders? And instead of having a Minister of Finance, we had a CFO behind the budget. Our guest today explores this fascinating thought experiment in his new book, titled The Bottom Line, a blueprint for South Africa's turnaround. And if you'd like to know a bit more about it, and to check it out, check more about it, that will be linked in the show notes. I've read it. It's actually really interesting. It's one of those ideas that actually fundamentally kind of shift your idea of what is the type of impact that a finance professional can make. So really highly recommend it. With that, onto the episodes.
Welcome back, my people. This is the Road to CA podcast, the show for aspiring chartered accountants to inspire, empower, and inform the difference makers of tomorrow. Guys, today we are joined by an author, a speaker, and a finance executive. He was nominated for the SAICA Top35under35 awards in 2021 and the CFO awards in 2022. Further, he has a passion for turning numbers into strategy and turning strategy into impact. Most importantly, he likes to write, run, do CrossFit, and spend time with his family in his spare time. We are joined by the thinker, strategist, and advisor. We are joined by Yusuf Bodiat. Yusuf, how are you, man?
Wow, very good, thank you.
I'm so excited.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited. You've been writing, you've been thinking. One thing about writers that I appreciate so much is that I know that there's things that you say that you've already thought about. A lot of people who don't write haven't actually, oftentimes the thoughts that come out of their mouths, they are first-time thoughts. And when a thought hasn't been thought through, it tends to be less quality.
I would fully agree with that. A lot of the things that I write about, and not write in the book, but just post on LinkedIn or social media or whatever it may be, or speak about in events, are not topics that I may have thought about yesterday or as we're speaking. A lot of these topics are things that have been in my mind brewing over weeks, months, or years even.
Oh, years even. Okay. Before we get into those ideas and before we get into the book as well, let's go back. Let's rewind to where this whole CA thing began for you. I know that you're from a family of accountants, and there's a whole story around the way you weren't going into accounting, but where did CA begin for you?
So the road to CA, let's call it that.
Sure.
Started in high school. And you'd remember in standard 8, grade 10, you get to choose subjects. And apart from English, Afrikaans, maths, science, I chose computers and I chose accounting. And the idea behind that was I was good at accounting and it was easier because numbers make sense to me. So let's do accounting to fill that subject. But I really wanted to be in computers. So I finished matric in 2004. And at that point,
it was hot.
It was hot. We were still using CDs to submit our assignments, and not everybody had proper internet at home, etc., etc. So I really wanted to get into computers. And what that meant, I didn't know, but it had to be something in the computer or IT field. What happened quite interestingly is I had a really good computer teacher in standard 8, and he actually got us to enjoy the coding and the programming and understanding it. And a year later, he left the school and we got a computer teacher who wasn't as good as he was. And at the same time, we got the most epic accounting teacher in the world. So it's amazing how the education system, or my educator, changed my trajectory in life. Yeah. So look, my marks swung completely. The accounting marks started spiking quite nicely, but the computer marks were going down. And as your marks go up, you enjoy the subject more and you get more passionate about it. So by the time we got to the end of standard 9, or somewhere around there, we needed to start applying to universities.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a no-brainer. I needed to apply for BCom because I didn't want to become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, all of those things. And because I didn't enjoy biology or science that much, nothing in the medical field interested me. And computers was a no-go zone because of my bad experience. So it was a no-brainer to do a BCom with the idea of becoming a CA. And at that time, I can honestly say I had no clue or idea what CAs did or what they were about. It was just, it's a career, it's a stable career, it's a safe option, and it can generate income and give me a living for the rest of my life. But I think the key for that was it was a safer option, and I chose it because I eliminated the other parts of the world that I didn't want to be a part of.
And that part on the safer option, I don't think it's a narrative that I subscribe to, but there is truth in it. As a young person, I had no idea how tough the job market was in this country. It is very tough. I mean, the idea that, in the US, you'll watch these movies, they're just like, oh, I'm just flipping burgers. Like, thank God if I'm flipping burgers in South Africa, because the job market is a real thing. And having a CA is one of those things where even if you want to start business, right? Let's not even talk about the incredible experience and the networks that you'll get through the journey. You get a proper payslip to be able to allocate those funds to whatever you want to do.
It's that, but also becoming a CA gives you the credibility. It says to people, you were capable of studying at the university and getting decent marks, because whether you get a 51% or a 61% in financial accounting in 4th year, it's tough, right? So it proves that you actually can apply your mind and study and pass the exams. But what's more important is you've actually got that training contract of 3 years, which proves again that you've gone through the system. And look, the South African CA designation is one of the strongest in the world, I believe. It always has been and it will always be. So the fact that you are a CA and went through that whole process in South Africa, I think says to people, okay, this person kind of knows what they're doing. But yes, the job market is very tough. There's lots of CAs who are still looking for not just the right job, but looking for a job. But I think it gives you that one extra piece or that one extra advantage when you actually are looking for that special career path.
Yeah, that credibility point is big. So you came from IT and then you went to accounting and then you were like, okay, I'm in, and now you're at VITS at this point.
I was at VITS, yes.
You're at VITS at this point. Can we walk through the journey now through your studies?
Okay, so first year was okay-ish.
Sure.
I didn't find it that difficult. By the end of the year, I got 60s for almost all subjects.
Sure.
Except for business statistics.
Oh,
It was a half-year course.
Stats
I struggled with, and I got 50. And
yeah.
I don't know if it's a true 50 or they
pushed
felt
you.
sorry for me. But I remember when I got my results on the day, I'll never forget, is we had to go to the university, walk up the stairs, go to the board and look at the results. And I knew I passed everything else.
Sure.
But for me, it was stats that I was worried about. And my first thought was, yes, I passed stats. It didn't matter whether I got 70 or 80 or 100 for the other subjects, which I didn't. But for me, it was, yes, I passed stats. And I moved on. Right. What really changed was second year, I actually struggled quite a lot. Because I was still in that, let's say, first year mindset. Didn't really have to study that hard. Yes, you study when the exams and tests are coming, but not consistently throughout the year. Because the one thing about doing a BCom or doing anything at university, you have to study all the time.
Yeah.
It's not exam time.
Yeah.
And I did pass all of my subjects. However, I got 51 or 53% for accounting in Edno's second year.
Sure.
And I thought I was good at it.
Sure.
Right. So getting 53% or 51, whatever it was, you think you're a rock star because you're passing, but I wasn't.
Sure.
That actually changed a lot of things for me in the future. Because getting into third year, it's more serious.
Yeah.
Only doing 4 subjects, but it's difficult.
Third year ramps up
And
everything.
the key for that was because my base knowledge of accounting was weak. Getting a low 50s in second year didn't help me in third year. I struggled from day one in third year. Right, so auditing was a new subject for us.
Yeah.
You had to learn to write stories.
Yeah.
Tax was a new concept also. Manac and finance also was, I think, a bit easier for me because of my mindset. But accounting, I was always on the back foot. Because my base knowledge wasn't that strong, I struggled. And by the time I got to the June exams, I got 35% for accounting.
Sure.
What had actually happened then, VITS had the rule at the time, I don't know, they probably still have it, where if you get less than 35 for a subject in June, they force you to deregister.
Oh.
Because probably statistically, if you
But you-
get
you
less
got
than 35,
35
I got
on the
35 on the dot.
Yeah.
And what had happened is my parents actually said, you know what, you need to deregister from this, whether they want you to stay or not.
Sure.
Because the other subjects were going to struggle. And yes, decided to deregister from accounting, although I wasn't forced to, and just focus on the other 3 subjects. And I still struggle with those other 3 because they're not easy.
Yeah.
Right. So that was my third year at VITS where I deregistered from accounting. So my fourth year at VITS was my second, third year.
Sure.
And I just did accounting.
Sure.
Did accounting, and I became a tutor also for first year accounting as
Yeah,
well.
you
Just
need
to
to be busy.
keep yourself busy,
Yeah,
earn some spare income. But yeah, just to keep busy. What people had told us to do in that, let's say, the additional year is, although you're only doing one subject, you should still attend lectures and keep up to date with the other subjects. Good intentions, didn't do it at all. Right. So by the end of the second time of third year, I got a decent-ish 50 again.
Sure.
Which again wasn't good enough.
Sure.
Fast forward to fourth year or honors, different ball game because you have to write all of the exams in one
once,
sitting.
yeah.
You don't know which one to look at first. And
They're all just crazy volume. I mean, I just went through it, so I'm with you.
And it's not easy because, you don't know which one to pick first. And the mindset says, let's do the easy one. So for me, consolidations were my comfort zone. So I'll study consolidations.
Yeah.
And then auditing, I wouldn't bother with because I was scared of it.
Yeah.
And then the marks go up and down throughout the year. Get to the end of the year, I passed tax, I passed auditing, I passed management, accounting, and finance.
Yes.
All 50s.
Yes.
But a pass is a pass.
Yes, a pass is a pass.
I got 48% for accounting.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
we get our results.
Like
on
final exam.
Final exam,
Okay.
48%. You get your marks on a Friday afternoon.
Okay.
And I had to write a SUP the following Wednesday.
Okay.
So you have literally 4 days to study for a SUP.
Yeah. Not
Get-
a lot of time.
I remember on the Monday, so we get the results on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday study for that SUP. Monday, at the lecturer's office, going through my paper to see what went wrong. A whole lot of us were there. Write the SUP on the Wednesday, and 2 days later, we get results. 48 again. Fail. Right. That was like the most demotivating thing in the world for me. Like, look, there is silver lining that I'll get to in a minute, but
Sure.
I had to repeat everything the next year. And the demotivating part is like you pass these other subjects and you have to do it again.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for it, right? And I can appreciate it now that there's a reason. Get to the end of the year, I actually passed everything, which was good, right?
Sure.
But it was a tough year. So I'm fast forwarding through a lot.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where I thought, okay, do I leave WITS, study part-time, start articles? Because the main objective for me was start generating income or earning a living. And I didn't want to be left behind. Because in my mind, it was like, okay, 4 years I could study for. I've done 5 years, but I don't want to do one more year. Because I felt like things were like running past me, which wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's never the case.
Having said that, looking back at it, it took me many years to realize that a few things happened that worked in my favor. So repeating that year of honors was good because I was able to pass both board exams first time round.
That's big.
Right? It's big. So the investment in doing that one additional year actually helped me pass board exam. And I honestly believe if I was pushed through or managed to get that 48% sub turned into a 51% pass, I would have failed my board exam the first time. And statistically speaking, if you don't pass your board exam the first time, the second time is more difficult. And then the third time is even more and more and more. So that was the one blessing in disguise. But the more important part about, let's say, repeating, so taking 6 years to do university as opposed to 4, and it took me a long time to realize this, is one is certain opportunities came to me at a certain point in my life. And had I been 2 years earlier, those opportunities wouldn't have been there. Now, you can never say whether I would have gotten better opportunities had I been sooner through the system. But the opportunities I have now, and the reason I'm sitting here with this book in my hand is because I was at the right place at the right time. But the more important, or the most important part is, had I started articles after 4 years of university, not 6 years, I would have not been emotionally mature to deal with articles and work and life and all of that. But look, in that moment, you feel that you need to be in the system. At that point in time, you want to be working. And it took me many years later to realize that I was at the right place at the right time, actually.
That hindsight on when you are emotionally ready, that thing is... It's such a tough I guess idea, because only you benefit from that truly, because even an aspiring CA listening to this, until you are at that level, like just spiritually, emotionally, you just won't even hear it.
No, and everybody will give you good advice that your time will come, or it's a good thing that happens. But you know what? Nobody's advice matters, because in that moment, you just want to move on with your life.
Like, you've just failed the year. You're just like, I'm not going to be earning. I'm going to be a broke student still. And so there's no amount of advice that will mean anything. So now you've gone into this working world, and you finally... Now you're ready as well. That's the big thing. But you also had a dream of being rather an audit partner than, now you're an author, you're a strategist. You wanted to actually go all the way through and actually just stay on as a partner. But now obviously things changed. What changed?
So let's go back a few steps. Right?
Sure.
So I started articles in 2011, and I went to Deloitte Financial Services team.
Sure.
And again, starting a job for the first time is not easy. As much as we think we know how to use a computer and Excel, I struggled. On my first audit ever, I remember the third year or the senior teaching me how to do a VLOOKUP. Yeah. And I'll never forget that moment, because right now I can do a VLOOKUP quite easily, but you think you're a rock star again because you finished university, and then someone tells you do a VLOOKUP on this simple Excel sheet, and I didn't know how to. Now, I can't remember if they taught it to us in university or not, but in that moment, I didn't know how to do it. Right. So I struggled throughout most of first year, but what was very interesting about the whole article experience, it took a few good months, but something clicked. And once that something clicked, and I can't explain what it is, I just started enjoying it, firstly. And I started understanding what I'm doing and why I was doing it. So not just auditing for the sake of it. Like, actually, I'm not saying I understood the purpose fully, but I had a better understanding of what I was meant to be doing. And that change for me got me to understand it, appreciate it, do a lot better. And I started excelling. And the ratings, when you do performance reviews for yourself, also started showing for itself. So first year was a struggle for most of the first year articles. I then started excelling towards the end. Second year, you considered the workhorse. all of
Sure.
the work is thrown at second years.
Sure.
Right? Because the first years are still learning.
They don't know anything.
The third years are managing the audit. So the
Sure.
second years have to kind of do the work.
Yeah.
Right? And I was lucky enough, and again, luck comes in, right? So I didn't have one or two big clients. I didn't have many small clients. I had lots of medium-sized clients and a diverse range. So I had one medium-sized bank. I had a medical aid. I had a parastatal company as well. And I had a few insurance companies. Right. So second year, I did well. I started enjoying it, but you work hard. I mean, the overtime is ridiculous, but you deal with it. And you're getting paid for it, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Plus, you're studying for the second board exam in second
ABC,
year.
yeah.
Third year, I enjoyed the most because then, as much as you're doing some of the work, you're not doing all of the work, but you're managing the audit. And in third year, I remember a manager who looked after me. He was my mentor. He said, Yusuf, you need to consider staying on as a manager after your articles.
Sure.
Not for anything else, but just to get the experience from it. Because if we were, and the story behind this is, and I firmly believe this, if once you finish articles, if you have the opportunity to stay on as a manager in an audit firm or consulting type environment, please do that, whether you enjoy it or not. Because had I moved on to work at a bank or an insurance company, my technical ability would have been tested so nicely and I would have learned so many technical skills.
Sure.
But I would have been working in isolation in a small team with no people skills or very little people skills being taught to me. Whereas as an audit manager, yes, technically, I didn't get to learn much because all of the technical topics you outsource. Actuarial, tax, IT, there's always a specialist team to do it. But you're managing a team of...
I mean, even the audit, because the second years are doing the work and the third
Exactly.
years are doing the work.
And by that time, you've passed your board exam. You're not going to think about the IODSA statements anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, the smallest team I had to manage was 2 people.
Sure.
Right. There's a third year and a first year, maybe on an audit. The biggest team I got to manage was about 50 people. And that's because it was a life insurance company and a short-term insurance company. So there's 2 teams of, let's say, a third year, a second year, a first year, plus a few others. And then there's the tax experts, the actuarial experts, the IT people, plus you're managing the partner and the whole review process and all of that.
That's interesting.
And then there's subsidiaries all over the place. And it's indirectly, you're actually managing I was managing 50 people at the time. Now, again, my technical ability maybe was slowing down, or my technical skills, what I was learning wasn't as much as I would have liked to. But dealing with 50 different personalities when everyone has different deadlines, but ultimately I have my one deadline, which is to sign to get the financial statements ready for the partner to sign on a certain date.
Yeah.
So for me, just to go back to the message, is that staying on as an audit manager, many people shy away from it because they feel that auditing is a 3-year, we used to call it a jail sentence. I don't know what it's called now. And it's like, okay, let me do the 3-year articles and leave. Whereas our rule of thumb was just stay for 2 years as a manager, gain as much of experience, knowledge, networks, which we can speak about later.
Sure.
And then consider if you'd like to stay on or not. Now, there's 2 key parts from that. One is we said 2 years because after 2 years, that's when you can get promoted to a senior manager. And that's when you really need to decide what you want to do with your life.
Sure.
But also for me, when I was in third year and I wanted to stay on as a manager, at that point in time, I thought auditing was the life for me. And in the letter I submitted to motivate why I'd like to be a manager, I said I want to be an audit partner.
Yeah.
But having worked as a manager quite quickly into that experience, I realized that this job isn't for me,
Sure.
my personality.
Sure.
But I also knew that I needed to stick it out for at least 2 years. I ended up being a manager for almost 3 years by the end of it. So there was a purpose for it, but it was a lot of long-term thinking. In that moment, audit managers actually get paid less than if you were to go out into the market. So that was one thing that I needed to get to grips with or think about.
Yeah.
But the other part was, I'm in it, I've committed to it. I need to stay through this 2 years or 2.5 or 3 years and then look for something that can give me more joy in my life.
Okay, so it was that managerial experience, looking at even the partners, I assume as well, looking at them, looking at what they have to do, and really just being in the weeds that I guess disillusioned you to that partner dream. But then you leave now. You go into an FM role that you'd obviously, through your audit networking, which is a great lesson just in understanding that if you firstly understand your client, don't just audit the client, don't just do the procedures, understand the client, understand the people, get really, really accustomed to the company, you can definitely like align yourself.
So I'd say yes and no.
Sure.
So the yes is definitely I was looking for a way to leave audit. But also, as much as we spoke about earlier, having a CA designation doesn't always say you can get a job. So the job market was tough at the time. That was about 2016. I spent a good 6 months looking for a job.
Sure.
Applying for jobs directly, working with recruitment agencies, and nothing really was working out. And there was this moment where the CFO at my client called me with an audit question, and we had a discussion. At the end, I mentioned to him, like, I'm looking to leave Deloitte. If you hear of anything, please let me know. And I was kind of sending this message to a few people. And his exact response was, actually, Yusuf, we may have something for you. They made me work hard for it. I had to apply, go for interviews, psychometrics.
Sure.
So it wasn't that they knew me and they gave me a job. I had to go through the process just like anybody else. Or actually, I had to go through a more rigorous process to make sure that what they thought about me was true.
Sure.
Right. So the client offered me an opportunity to apply for the job. They didn't offer me the job, and I went through the process and got the job. But
That's everything as well. Yeah.
the benefit of being on that client or having the client as an audit client was that I knew the people. So when I walked in on the first day, there were familiar faces, small things. You know where to park, you know where to go for coffee. But all of a sudden, on my first day, I remember meeting with my CFO, and he said, Yusuf, we need to do a budget forecast, whatever it was. Please, can you just get it done?
Sure.
And I thought to myself, okay, I've done this audit. I know the client. I know the business. And it was so wrong what I did. And in that moment, I realized how little I knew about the company. So as much as we did a good audit and we did the work well, we were looking at the company from an audit perspective. We weren't looking at it strategically. Whereas an audit is looking backwards. Okay, give me the trial balance. Let me make sure the numbers are right and do a bit of work around it. And I'm underplaying it. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
It's deep.
But when you're doing a budget, it's like, okay, what's the revenue going to be for next year? And then you start putting ratios in. And like I said earlier, I realized so quickly how little I knew about that company.
Sure.
But it was a good learning experience.
For sure. But now, so to circle back, there is this company now that you've gone to, and you have a particular vision in your mind that, okay, now the kind of goal, the kind of dream is to become CEO. Now at this point, right? And as a CA, that's typically the most streamlined route is CFO, CEO.
Yes.
That also has changed for you. What changed there?
So at my first job out of articles, my ambition was to become CFO. And I became the acting CFO after about 1.5 years working in the company.
Sure.
And so it was a good achievement for me.
Yeah, proper.
Look, the company ended up closing down. It went into what we call runoff. So I decided to leave the organization. Look, that's a discussion on its own. I mean, working for a company that's about to close down, there's so many learnings that I got out of it. In any case, because working for a company that works, you know how things work, so you make it work. You work with it. Whereas when things are literally falling apart, it's different things you need to learn going through that process. But yeah, so I applied for a job at FEM, applied for the CFO position.
What does it stand for? I always get so confused.
So FEM, the Federated Employers Mutual Assurance Company, RFPTY Limited.
Okay.
It's a long word. The company's been in existence for almost 90 years now. Very specialized insurance.
Sure.
They sell workers' compensation insurance for the construction industry.
Sure.
Now, if I go back to my previous job, maybe 1 second. So Lion of Africa was the company I worked at first. The company had lots of capital issues. The balance sheet was quite thin. Eventually, the board decided, or the shareholders decided, that the company has to close down. And
that's
we went
also
into
an insurance company.
Insurance company as well, but traditional insurance, right? Motor insurance, property insurance.
Okay.
Whereas FEM is very specialized insurance. The other difference is that at Lion of Africa, we had no balance sheet whatsoever. So things were tight. Whereas at FEM, we had such a strong balance sheet, the assets were more than double the liabilities. I'll say that again. The assets were more than double the liabilities, which means the exposure I got was different. So instead of having a thin balance sheet where your investments is just cash and near cash, when you have a very strong balance sheet, the investments are equities and private equity, offshore investments, hedging strategies. I got to meet so many different asset managers. It was unbelievable. So look, what I'm trying to get at is based on the type of company, not only the nature and industry, but the strength of its balance sheet and its profitability, and that can also give you different type of experiences. So at FEM, because we had a strong balance sheet, I got to learn more about, let's say, more aggressive investment strategies because we could do that.
Yeah.
The company's business model was so profitable that we could give back money to our policyholders, and there was models and Excel sheets that go on forever for that. We had an enormous CSI, corporate social investment budget
That you were chair of? Were you chair or you were
no.
member?
So because I was a CFO, I was an executive director as well.
Sure,
and because of that, I was a member of the Social and Ethics Committee, which looked after CSI and all of the nice things.
Sure.
I was a member of the Investment Committee.
Sure.
I was a member of the Risk and Compliance Committee. Right. But what was very interesting about working for a company at that time is the balance sheet was strong, and we went through COVID. And while companies were closing down and restructuring, we were able to create these special projects to assist others. And I was fortunate enough that I could lead some of those projects. So there was opportunities because the company was in a good space to help others. I mean, fast forward further on, we actually created a special Black asset manager loan program.
Wow.
We kind of played Dragon's Den with a few small Black asset managers and gave them interest-free loans with payment holidays, with the purpose not to make money out of it, but the purpose to grow small businesses who otherwise wouldn't have grown.
Wow.
But to
Was
answer
there a
the
name for that? Sounds so
we
cool.
worked with an organization called Motswedi Asset Managers, and they ran it for us. So everything was, our branding was on it, but it was a program that they ran for us.
Sure.
What I really liked about the program, it's not just the 3 asset managers that we gave loans to. We were happy that we weren't competing with anyone. So we were happy that people could replicate our product. And someone actually did replicate it, and other asset managers got loans as a result. And the idea was when those loans get repaid, we're not going to take the money back. We're going to recycle it in the system and give loans out to more asset managers. Wow. But I left at the time, so I'm not sure where it's at.
Sure.
While I was at FEM, I was the CFO, and I was the CFO for 5.5 years.
Sure.
But during that time, it's always like the question, okay, what do I do next? What's next? What's bigger? What's better?
Yeah.
And then CEO was something that
Is the
was
thing-
on my mind.
yeah.
Look, lots of things happened in my life at the time. So between the time I joined Deloitte as an audit manager up until the time I was at FEM, so this is a period of 10 years, I got married, we had 2 kids, moved house 2 or 3 times, and purchased a home. So lots of things change in your personal dynamics. And because of that, I thought to myself, okay, do I still want the CEO position? And the answer was still yes.
Sure.
But then again, I thought to myself, and this was like a very tough decision, and my wife helped me so much, like understanding this, is as a CFO, you're in a position of power in the finance team. So if something in finance breaks, it's my responsibility to fix it, or it's my fault that it broke. Whereas as the CEO, if anything breaks in the whole company, right? And that was still something...
Including finance.
Including finance. And you'll find that often if a CA is a CEO, the finance part is the comfort zone that they go into. And then you've got IT, HR, risk, all of the other divisions where you need to learn and upskill yourself. And look, lots of things happened in my life, in my mindset, and what I wanted for myself in my future, where I made a decision eventually to say, actually, I don't want the CEO position. What I would be more comfortable with is maybe becoming a CFO at a bigger insurance company.
Sure.
So the next step could be something bigger and better or different, but not CEO. But I was also trying to figure out for myself, do I want to work in corporate my whole life? And the answer was no. I actually don't want to work in corporate my whole life. So what I started doing while I was at FEM, and one of our directors at the time, who was a very good mentor and close friend of mine, said, Yusuf, you need to start getting onto boards of other companies as a non-executive. And the reason that he gave me was, I need to do that so I can view the company as a non-executive does. So that when I'm working at FEM as an executive, I know what my non-executives may be thinking, or I have a better appreciation for what they're doing. Because it's easy to sit inside the company and tell people what you think they want to know. Whereas a non-exec's questions is totally different from that. So during those 5 years at FEM, I started upskilling myself to become a non-exec. So I registered with the Institute of Directors, did the course called the Certified Director course, got the certificate for it, managed to get a role on another insurance company's board as well, which I've been on that board for 4 years now. And the next goal is to become what they call a chartered director, which will happen in 2027, hopefully, for me. But my ambition is, and look, maybe before I go to the ambition, my mind changes, or all of our minds change. So it's not that at the end of third year articles, I said I want to become an audit partner, so I had to stick to it. I would be miserable right now. Or when I was at FEM, I said I wanted to become a CEO and chase that. So my mind did change, and I was happy to adapt to an extent. It's not easy. It sounds easy, but it's not. So right now, the ambition is to build my non-executive directorship career or branding around that, get onto more boards, but also do the things that I like. So for me, COVID also taught me that I don't really want to go to an office every day and wear a shirt and fancy shoes and dress up like that. I'd rather work from home as much as I can and do different things. So my personality also likes doing different things all the time, not one focused thing. Whereas working for one company, for me, always into the future. May not be for me right now. If we speak in a year from now, my answer may change. I'm turning 40 next year. I'm thinking by the time I'm 50, I don't want to be working for a corporate. If that happens before that, I'll be very happy. And that's why the ideas came out around writing the book, because the book is not only around the message and all those ideas that were in my mind for many years. It was about, it's the ultimate business card. And I'll be honest about that, right? It shows people what I'm thinking about. It's the same like having the CASA designation. Author is also something that a lot of effort and time goes into that. But for me, the goal now is to build up my non-executive profile or portfolio, as well as I'm really enjoying going to conferences and speaking at conferences about topics I enjoy. And also what I found is that given my experiences at Deloitte, at Lion of Africa, at FEM, and at the company I work at now, African Risk Capacity, that we haven't even spoken about, it's an international insurance company. I can consult on certain things if I apply my mind to it, and if there's a value add for someone else as well. So for me, the future of my career would be a combination of speaking and consulting, whether it be strategic consulting or operational consulting, as well as just everything else around the book that I'm thinking about.
Sure, man. Big lesson. I think the overarching lesson from this entire deep dive into your journey is that your goals will change. That is something you need to be so comfortable with, and you need to appreciate in life. And I think if we consider the fact that, I think the main thing is that you had a family. That was the main thing that changed everything. You can't really foresee, everything without the big things in place. So only now, I think, this, like, for example, which it can change, but I think with your daughters in mind, with your wife in mind, this non-exec directorship path, it makes so much sense. I don't see it changing.
No, I don't see it also. I mean, there's small luxuries in life that we take for granted. So the fact that I get to take my kids to school every morning and drop them off, and not rushing back to an office, or I get back to my home and start working as soon as I can. But it's not a rush to get to an office, or navigating through traffic in the morning. As small as that may sound, it's actually a big thing. Or the fact that if there's an extramural in the afternoon, I get to go for it. The other, and maybe making it more personal, if I need to work hard, I'll wake up really early in the morning and work before anybody is up, and I'll still get to go to the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's more that more flexible lifestyle. That as much as, and look, I'm happy to say this openly, as much as companies say there's flexibility and hybrid work and all of that, as long as there is some sort of structure, people always or often struggle to fit those things in, because at the end of the day, work often comes first. And then the gym and the extramurals and the personal time, it gets left for the weekend.
Sure. It's dangerous as well to leave, because I we think of work-life balance, but on some level, is there not a main mission? Because let's also be real. Your main mission is your family.
Yep.
That's the main mission. And I feel like everything is secondary to the main mission. So it's not really work-life balance. It's that you are working for the life, which is your mission, which is your family.
That's it. Yeah.
Type of thing. If we can now come to the book that you've written, it's called The Bottom Line, people. I don't. By this time, I think it'll probably be linked in the show notes to go and check it out. Probably Takealot is where people will find it.
Or my website,
or his website, which will be linked. If I would summarize the book, right, the underlying message that oozes out of every single page, it would be to be continued in part 2. See you next week.